Hey guys, my name is Clay Cannon, and I'll be doing my 5-minute sermon over the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4, verses 13 through 18. And my Bible names this passage, The Comfort of Christ Coming. And it says, "But I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who are asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words." This passage discusses the coming of Christ, and that our salvation gives us our hope in Christ and an eternity with him. Paul describes three groups of people in verses 13 through 15. And those people are those who are asleep, which can be found in verse 13. Those who are asleep in Jesus, which can be found in verse 14. And then those who are alive and remain, which can be found in verse 15. There are four truths in verses 13 through 17 that all believers need to know and live by. And they are the resurrection of all of church age believers who have died, which can be found in verse 14 through 16, the rapture of living believers, and those remaining when he returns, which can be found in verse 17, and the reunion of both the Lord and with all other church age saints, which can be found in verse 17. The reward of believers at Bema, in other words, judgment seat of Christ, though this is not mentioned, it is spoken of in chapters 2, verses 19 through 20 in 1 Thessalonians, and specifically dealt with in other passages such as 1 Corinthians 3:12 and 2 Corinthians 5:8. And in 1 Corinthians 3:12, it says, "Therefore, since we have such hope, we have great boldness of speech." And in 2 Corinthians 5:8, it says, "We are confident, yes, well pleased rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord." To conclude, if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, we know God will bring us to heaven because we put our trust in God. Thank you for listening.